Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of Jujutsu Infinite to talk about one of the most exciting aspects of the game, curse tools. These weapons are more than just flashy accessories. They come with their own unique set of moves that can completely change how you play. Whether you're dominating in PvP or shredding through PvE, having the right tool can be the difference between victory and frustration. But let's be honest, not all curse tools are created equal. Some are absolute game changers, while others, well, let's just say they're better left in your inventory. So in this video, we're ranking the best curse tools in the game with a tier list that breaks it all down for you. We'll cover which ones are must-haves and which ones you might want to avoid if you value your sanity. Whether you're looking for insane damage output, crazy utility, or just a tool that feels good to use, we've got you covered. Stick around, and by the end, you'll know exactly which curse tools deserve your time and effort. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking weapons in Jujutsu Infinite. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Slaughter Demon, Purifying Dagger, and Iron Blade. Alright, let's dive into some of the weapons from Jujutsu Infinite that you really don't want to keep in your inventory for too long, starting with the D tier weapons. Now, I know it's easy to overlook these, but trust me, you'll want to know why they're here, so you can save yourself some trouble down the line. First up, we have the Slaughter Demon. Now, don't get me wrong, it's the best of the D tier bunch, but that's like saying it's the tallest dwarf. Its dash ability is actually useful for repositioning, especially in the early stages of the game, but as soon as you start leveling up, you'll be looking for something with more punch. It does its job for a while, but the lack of real damage potential or versatility really holds it back in the long run. Then there's the Purifying Dagger. Ugh. I get what they were going for with the ranged attack, but let's be real here. It's just not cutting it. It's one of those weapons that's alright at first, but it doesn't scale well at all. The stats are weak, the potential's just not there compared to the other weapons, and it feels like it just doesn't make any real impact in battle. If you're stuck with this one, it's definitely time to start thinking about an upgrade. And lastly, the Iron Blade. If you're holding on to this, you should probably just sell it. No, really, just get rid of it. It's one of those weapons that feels outdated as soon as you get your hands on something better. It's slow, doesn't hit hard enough, and lacks the finesse that other weapons bring to the table. Honestly, you won't be missing much by letting it go. Sell it and get yourself something more worthy of your time. So yeah, these D-tier weapons, while they might seem okay at first, you're going to want to ditch them as soon as you start climbing the ranks. Stick around for the better stuff, and trust me, you'll see the difference. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rusty Katana, Split Soul, and Blood Sword. Alright, let's talk about some of the more quirky weapons in Jujutsu Infinite, specifically the C-tier weapons. Now, these aren't exactly the ones you'd want to build your whole strategy around, but hey, they still have their moments. We'll start with the Rusty Katana. This thing used to be a monster in PvP like absolutely broken. The almost infinite combo potential that could stun lock anyone was ridiculous. But here's the thing. It's been nerfed pretty heavily. Still, it's got that stun lock potential, just with lower damage now. Personally, I'm betting Robbie's going to hit it with another nerf, but if I'm wrong, this could actually turn into a sleeper OP weapon. Who knows? It's one of those things that might just surprise us on release. Then we have the Split Soul, another weapon that went through the nerf hammer and came out a little weaker than it used to be. I remember when this was top tier material, but now it's decent. The guard break Soul Slice is still pretty good in PvP, and there are a ton of combo opportunities with the Soul Stream knockup, followed by a nice follow-up attack. If you can land those combos, it still packs a punch, but let's be real, it's not going to carry you to victory like some of the S-tier weapons would. Still, I'd say it's worth keeping in mind if you like a weapon with a little bit of flair. Next up, we've got the Blood Sword. I had high hopes for this one. I thought it was going to be a beast when I first unlocked it. The blood-packed ability looked amazing on paper, but it's just so slow. It feels like you're inviting your opponent to interrupt you. It's frustrating because it could be really good if it were faster or had some sort of buff to make it more competitive. But right now, it's just mid-tier at best. I'd say don't get your hopes up too much, but hey, it's not totally useless. It's still solid enough to hold its own in some situations. Now, don't get me wrong, these C-tier weapons aren't bad. They just don't quite live up to the hype, especially after the nerfs. They still have their niche, but they need a little extra love from Robbie to really shine again. If you're a fan of these weapons, I'd say stick with them for now and see what happens with future updates. Maybe they'll get buffed. or maybe they'll fade into the background as the meta evolves. Either way, they've still got some fun potential if you're looking for a change of pace from the usual powerhouse weapons. Honestly, there's something fun about using these C-tier weapons. They're a bit of a challenge, and you can catch your opponents off guard if you've mastered the combo flow. It's like finding hidden gems in a pile of rocks. Sure, you might not be top-tier material with them, but you'll definitely give people a run for their money if you know what you're doing. Plus, it's always nice to mix things up and try something new instead of just sticking to the meta. So, while these weapons might not be your first pick, they're not a complete waste either. If you're feeling adventurous and want to shake up your playstyle, give them a shot. Maybe you'll find that perfect moment where they just click, and suddenly you're the one leaving your opponent stunned and wondering how they got outplayed by a rusty katana. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Electric Staff, Feather Spear, Playful Cloud, and Jet Black. Let's talk about some of the B-tier weapons in Jujutsu Infinite and why they're solid options, but with a little bit of a catch. These weapons might not be the top-tier picks, but they're still powerful when used right, and definitely worth considering for certain builds and playstyles. Trust me, if you know how to wield these, they can be your secret weapon. First up, the Electric Staff. Now, if you're the type who loves to max out technique, the Electric Staff is your best friend. Every single move scales with technique, making it a dream for those specialized builds. However, if you're more of a strength-focused player, you might want to look elsewhere, as there are other weapons out there that pack more of a punch in that area. But for all you technique enthusiasts, this one's definitely a weapon to keep in your arsenal. Next, we've got the Feather Spear. Think of it like the Dragon Bone's little cousin. Not quite as powerful, but still a pretty solid weapon. It's got decent damage output, and that Quill Javelin throw is a game changer. If you need to back off and create some distance from your opponent, just throw it out there for some ranged utility. While it's not going to blow you away, it's reliable enough to be a good go-to when you need something versatile. Now, if you're into more aggressive playstyles, the Playful Cloud might be your best buddy. This weapon is all about comboing your way through fights. The Playful Strike leads into some massive damage, and the chain dropkick is a real treat, especially when you're repositioning your opponent for that next big hit. Plus, with the added ability to blitz dash to your enemy, you can keep the pressure on, constantly keeping them on the defensive. If you like to keep the fight moving, this is a weapon you'll love. Then we have the Jet Black. This one is a bit of a wild card in the B tier. If you play smart and take full advantage of the teleport slash, Jet Black can perform at a much higher level. The teleportation lets you dodge a lot of heavy-hitting moves, making it a really solid choice for staying alive and getting in some tricky hits. But if you're not utilizing that teleport effectively, it does drop to more of a mid-tier performance. So, it's all about mastering that teleport. I wouldn't say any of these are the best weapons out there, but each one shines in its own way depending on your build and playstyle. If you can get the hang of the Electric Staff scaling, it can become your go-to for dominating fights with technique. The Feather Spear offers decent damage with a bit of ranged utility for those who like a balanced approach. And the Playful Cloud? If you're all about combos and keeping the pressure on your opponents, you'll feel right at home with it. The Jet Black is a great weapon for those who love mobility and dodging, but only if you really lean into its strengths. It's not the easiest weapon to master, but when you do, it can give you a huge advantage. So, even if you're rocking a B-tier weapon, with the right strategy and skill, you can absolutely hold your own against higher-tier weapons. To sum it all up, B-tier weapons in Jujutsu Infinite are perfect for players who know what they're doing and can make the most of their unique abilities. Sure, you might be eyeing those S-tier weapons, but don't sleep on these guys. With the right playstyle, these weapons will absolutely surprise you. And who knows, they might just become your new favorites in battle. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Heian Gauntlets, Dragon Bone, and Viscera Scythe. Alright, let's dive into some of the A-tier weapons in Jujutsu Infinite. We're talking about the ones that can really shake things up in battle. First up, let's look at the Heian Gauntlets. Now, these babies are absolute powerhouses, especially when it comes to filling up that focus bar fast. Once you've got it charged, you're ready to unleash some serious Calamity AoE damage. And the best part? It scales with your technique, which means the more you refine your skill, the better this weapon gets. Plus, the mobility it offers is insane. You can quickly drop from the air to the ground, making it a dream when you're looking for that perfect moment to land a devastation. If you've got these from the testing period, consider yourself lucky. You've got yourself one heck of a weapon. Next on the list is the Dragon Bone Sword. If versatility is what you're after, this sword is your best friend. It strikes the perfect balance between damage, mobility, and defense. It's not just about swinging a sword, it's about making sure your enemies are constantly on the back foot with its AoE guard break attack from Energy Dispel. That move alone can change the course of a fight. Whether you're looking to break through enemy defenses or just cause chaos, the Dragon Bone Sword is a solid choice. It's got that can-do-it-all vibe, which is why it's right up there in A tier. Let's not forget the Viscera Scythe. Oh man, if you're someone who loves farming EXP, this one is a game changer. Unlike most weapons that only have 2 moves, the Viscera Scythe comes with 3, yeah, you heard that right. 3 moves to help you mow down enemies with ease. Each attack packs a punch, and the AoE coverage is huge. It's a bit of a beast when it comes to PvE content, but don't expect it to shine as much in PvP. That being said, for farming and clearing waves of enemies, the Viscera Scythe is tough to beat. It's got the kind of power that makes grinding feel like a breeze. But let's talk strategy here for a second. What makes these A-tier weapons stand out is how they give you the freedom to play your way. With the hand gauntlets, you're more about precision and timing, using the focus bar to pull off some devastating moves when the moment is right. The Dragon Bone Sword, on the other hand, is your all-around workhorse, letting you take control of the battlefield in any situation, whether you're on the offensive or trying to protect yourself. And the Viscera Scythe? It's about efficiency. If you're someone who loves clearing waves of enemies in no time, this weapon will feel like a breeze. When you think of A-tier, you're looking at weapons that can give you an edge in nearly every scenario. These weapons are the ones that let you show off your skills while offering enough power to keep you competitive in every fight. Whether you're clearing hordes of enemies in PvE or testing your skills in PvP, having these weapons in your arsenal will give you the upper hand. The Heian Gauntlets, Dragon Bone Sword, and Viscera Scythe all bring something unique to the table, but the key is understanding how to use them effectively. So, if you've been wondering which weapons are worth your time, look no further than these A-tier picks. They've got the damage, versatility, and utility to make them stand out in any situation. Whether you're charging into battle with the Heian Gauntlets or slicing through enemies with the Dragon Bone Sword, these weapons will have you feeling like a powerhouse. And if you're grinding for EXP, the Viscera Scythe is your go-to. In the end, it's all about picking the right weapon for your playstyle, and these A-tier options are definitely worth considering. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Vengeance, Ravenous Axe, Inverted Spear of Heaven, and the Impossible Dream. Let's dive straight into it. Today we're talking about the absolute best weapons in Jujutsu Infinite. These weapons aren't just good, they're game changers, and once you get your hands on them, you'll feel like a powerhouse. So buckle up, because we're going to break down why these S-tier weapons are in a league of their own. First up, we've got Vengeance. This weapon isn't just a typical strong hitter. No, it's a damage monster. If you can land all your abilities, especially that Rising Snow with a Black Flash boost, you'll be dealing some serious pain. But it's not just about raw numbers. Each ability hit causes bleed, and we all know how quickly that adds up in PvP, right? It's almost like watching your opponent slowly realize they've made a huge mistake. Then we have Ravenous Axe, and oh man, I can't decide if this is as good as Vengeance or maybe even better. It's a perfect mix of damage and mobility. Sure, its damage moves hit hard, but what really sets it apart is Flock of Many. This ability gives you a super fast dash with iframes, which is perfect for dodging those incoming attacks while repositioning. You can stay on top of your game without feeling too exposed. Really, it's like a safety net and a nuke all rolled into one. Moving on, let's talk about the Inverted Spear of Heaven, or ISO-H for short. This weapon is known for one thing and one thing only: brutality. That melee grab attack? Yeah, it's one of the most powerful in the game, but here's the kicker. It completely ignores all iframes from both PvE and PvP. So when you hit that throat gouge, it's not just a strong hit, it's an in-your-face, no-escape, brutal slam. Plus, the visual effect when it lands? Pure satisfaction. Now, you might think the Impossible Dream sounds like one of those dream weapons that are all talk and no action, but trust me, it's just as strong as it sounds. The Impossible Dream offers a powerful grab attack, which is already a bonus in my book, but what really stands out is its thrust AoE damage. This isn't just about hitting one target, it's about hitting multiple enemies at once. And the bonus? It applies bleed and turns into this lengthy dash that lets you chase down your opponent. It's an incredible way to keep the pressure on, and I mean, who doesn't love a weapon that lets you chase down your foes in style? Speaking of style, one of the best things about these weapons is how versatile they are. Whether you're in PvP or PvE, each one of these weapons can take on any situation and turn it into an advantage. If you're good with positioning and know when to attack and when to dodge, you're going to absolutely wreck opponents with these weapons. Let's talk strategy for a second. With Vengeance, you're playing the long game, letting the bleed stack and slowly whittling down your opponent's health. With Ravenous Axe, you're focusing on hit-and-run tactics, using that dash to stay unpredictable. The ISOH is all about raw power. Get in, grab, and leave nothing but destruction. And with the Impossible Dream, it's all about keeping the pressure on, using that dash to constantly stay in the fight and hitting with AoE damage to clear multiple enemies. Finally, the thing I love most about these weapons is that they make you feel like a true force of nature. You're not just some guy swinging a weapon around. No, each one of these tools makes you feel like you're playing on a whole different level. You're not just in control of the fight, you're dictating it. And when you're this strong, you get to have a lot of fun with it. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.